People talk about running government as a business. And some of that is true and some of it is not true. I mean, government, for example, is not motivated by profit. Your idea is not to have a surplus at the end of the year and show quarterly earnings. Your mission is to deliver services. On the other hand, it is important because in business you learn to be practical. And you're not stuck in an ideological warp, which is what's happening in Washington today. And where, depending on the letter that comes after your name, you have to take a certain position on a certain issue. Mayors are about solving problems. And that's what business is. I mean, you have a problem, you got to solve it. Let me know the facts. Don't hide the facts from me, as a matter of fact. And so I think that kind of training is very important because you begin to look at government more as a problem solver, and then you begin to set priorities and you set strategic goals. That's very much a part of business. It is not a part of government. What does that do? Well, for example, when you're budgeting, you no longer budget as government typically does, and you hear this all the time. Times are tough, so we got to take 5% across the board cuts. Or times are good and you have 5% more than you expected, and you divvy that up 5% across the board. Well, it shouldn't be about that. It should be about what your priorities are. If my priority happens to be education, then I'm going to, or parks, I'm going to fight to preserve the funding for those initiatives because I think that they're part of some strategic plan that is important to me, as opposed to simply, and maybe taking that 5% or that 10% from some other department that is important, but not as important in terms of what my strategic plan is. So that's, I think, to that extent, I think the business background is invaluable. You see an example here with Mayor Bloomberg, who brings that same kind of philosophy to his governing.